Hi there, and welcome to Ian's Engage channel. I am Ian. In previous videos, I've shown how I've fitted DCC decoders to a few of my locos. In this video, I'm continuing the trend and will show how I fitted a DCC decoder to a Revolution Trains Class 128. This was my first loco from Revolution Trains, so it would be interesting to see how the decoder fitting experience compared to fitting a decoder to a Dapple or Graham Farish loco. First though, let's see how the Class 128 performs on DC, after it had been run in. The loco features a small coreless motor with a flywheel that powers one driven bogie, although both bogies have pickups on all four wheels. I wasn't sure how this arrangement would perform, but thankfully I wasn't disappointed. The loco was exceptionally quiet and circulated the test track really smoothly at a variety of speeds. As usual though, as has been witnessed with all of my locos when running on DC, the crawling performance could have been better. Although the loco required minimal power to get it moving, it displayed an annoying level of jerkiness at the lowest power levels. Increasing the power reduced the amount of jerkiness, but it was still visible. However, it was definitely not as bad as some of my other models had been when running slowly on DC. Based on experiences with my other models, I was confident that DCC fitting the model would improve its performance when running at slow speeds and crawling. To fit the decoder, we needed to get into the loco by removing the body shell. The information sheet indicates to gently unclip the body shell and lift it clear of the chassis. However, we've been here before, haven't we? Unclip from where? A diagram showing specific labelled locations would have been nice. I'll happily admit that I don't have the knack of removing body shells. My fingernails are non-existent, and finding somewhere on the body shell and chassis to pull the two apart was problematic because of the tremendous amount of detail parts fitted to the model. However, using my trusty tub of guitar picks and referring to the exploded diagram on the information sheet, I figured out where to slip the plectrums between the body shell and the chassis retaining lugs. Once the body shell is off, we can then see the decoder blanking plate that allows the loco to run on DC, located in the centre of the chassis. The coreless motor and flywheel sit below a chassis weight that's located above a single driven bogie, helping to give extra traction. I believe that there's also a pre-fitted speaker below the circuit board, although I haven't removed the board to make sure it's there. The blanking plate can be removed by gently pulling it upwards, which reveals the decoder socket beneath. The loco requires an X18 decoder to operate on DCC, and I've chosen to go with the Bachmann 36-567B, which is made by Zimmo, who are my preferred decoder manufacturer. The decoder features active braking, which gives you an accurate way to control locos when you're using realistic momentum settings. Fitting the X18 decoder is simplicity itself. The decoder will only fit into the socket one way round, and just requires a firm push to get it to locate, which is signalled by a satisfying clicking sound. Before putting the body shell back on, it's always a good idea to test the decoder. This was done at the test track. The default decoder address is 3, so I used my NCE power cab to select the address and operated the throttle. I always found it to be a very nervy moment, wondering if I'd fitted the decoder correctly, so I was obviously delighted to see the loco pull away. I performed a few back and forth passes at various speeds just to make sure that the loco was correctly picking up the DCC signal. Once I was happy that the decoder was working properly, I refitted the body shell. The body shell needed to be fitted the right way round, and the information sheet indicated that the exhaust is at the opposite end to the power bogie. However, I found it much easier to line up the retaining lugs on the chassis with the small recesses situated on the inside of the body shell. Once the lugs and recesses have been aligned, the body shell slips back over the chassis really easily. The final part of decoder installation was to change the default address. As I've mentioned previously, I like to base my loco addresses on the running number of the loco, using the first 2 and last 2 digits. So, the running number of 55992 became a loco address of 5592. This was a simple job to perform with the NCE power cab, as can be seen from the footage here. Once running on DCC, I think models run a lot smoother in general, and the Class 128 was no exception. Here's the loco running around the test track at medium speed. However, the real benefit of running on DCC comes when the loco is running at slow speeds and crawling. All of the jerkiness displayed earlier when running on DC has disappeared, and the loco is crawling beautifully. The loco is also capable of running at much slower speeds than when running on DC, and runs even more quietly. Not that it was very noisy in the first place. So, all in all, this was one of the easier DCC fittings I've performed, and everything went as planned. Or did it? Well, unfortunately, despite being as careful as I possibly could, I managed to break the very delicate exhausts off the model. I didn't notice this at the time, and actually didn't realise until I was reviewing the video footage at the computer. It happened fairly early on when I was removing the body shell, and, ironically, they must have caught on the foam cradle I was using that was supposed to be protecting the model. This means, of the 4 locos I've DCC fitted so far, I've snapped the steps off the corner of a Class 20, broken the light wiring of a Class 43, haha, genius, and have now snapped the exhausts off a Class 128. At least the Class 37 got away unscathed. I think the takeaway from this is that while it's nice to have the fine details on these models, it's becoming increasingly difficult to handle them while performing maintenance on them. I'm sure I can't be the only one having these little mishaps. Have you had similar problems? Or am I just being clumsy? Let me know your experiences when maintaining this new generation of finely detailed models. Alternatively, if you've got any hints, tips, useful tools or techniques to pass on to a beginner in Engage modelling, or if you simply want to say hello, then please do so in the comments section. Anything and everything you've got to say will be greatly appreciated. In the meantime, thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have another update soon. Bye.